So what happens when the clock that everyone lives by, the sky itself, starts to run slow? It's a fundamental problem, and it's one of the biggest challenges ancient societies had to solve. Today, we're diving into that investigation. How do you keep time when the cosmos is, in fact, an imperfect clock?
You know, when we think of ancient rituals, our minds usually jump straight to symbolic belief, right? Prayers, offerings, that kind of thing. But what if that's only half the story? We're going to explore a really different idea here, that some rituals were actually functional systems. Think of them as a kind of practical technology designed to do a very specific job, fixing calendars and getting society back in sync with the seasons.
And this wasn't some abstract philosophical problem. Especially once agriculture got going, getting this right was, and I mean this literally, a matter of life and death.
Okay, so picture it. For early farmers, the sky was everything. It was the ultimate clock. That first glimpse of a certain star cluster, maybe the Pleiades, or a bright star like Sirius rising just before the sun, well, that was your signal. It was nature's alarm clock telling you, okay, it's time to plant, now. If you got that timing wrong, even by a little bit, you could lose the entire harvest. The stakes just couldn't have been higher.
But here's the kicker. The cosmos isn't perfect. The gears don't quite mesh. A year isn't a clean number of moon cycles. It's not even a clean number of days. And on top of all that, you've got this slow, almost imperceptible wobble in the Earth's axis, what we call precession. It means that over centuries, the stars themselves seem to slide out of place against the seasons. All these tiny little errors, they just add up, and that buildup is what we call drift.
And this is not just a theory. I mean, look at the hard numbers for the star Sirius. Back in ancient Egypt, its appearance was a huge deal. It lined up almost perfectly with the summer solstice and the life-giving Nile flood. But check out the table. Fast forward to 1500 BC, and that same signal is already off by more than a week. Jump to today, and it's off by over a month. The clock wasn't just drifting, you could literally watch it breaking. So, what do you do? I mean, really, what do you do? If the very stars you rely on are slowly, surely, becoming unreliable, how on earth do you prevent your entire society from just drifting into chaos right along with them? Well, the answer, and this is what's so fascinating, seems to be that they developed a tool, a very powerful social technology. And that technology was ritual. But not ritual as just a prayer to the gods. Think of it more like a society-wide reset button.
And when you start looking at it this way, it makes a lot of sense. A big New Year's festival, it's not just a party. It's the perfect moment to slip in a leap day, or maybe add a whole extra month to get things back on track. It's a built-in mechanism for making sure the map, your calendar, still matches the territory, the actual seasons.
Okay, to really get our heads around how this works on a system level, we can borrow a concept from a totally different field, cybernetics. Now don't worry, it sounds complicated, but it gives us a really clear, non-mystical way to talk about how these rituals could actually function as self-regulating programs.
So what is cybernetics? At its heart, it's just the science of how systems keep themselves stable. The perfect example is the thermostat in your house. It's constantly sensing the temperature. If it gets too cold, it triggers the heat. Too hot, it triggers the AC. Its whole job is to notice when things are out of whack and take action to bring the system back to where it's supposed to be. And this is where it all clicks. We can actually map the parts of a ritual to that thermostat model. The ritual's specific script, the chants, the actions, that's the program, the set point. The community actually performing it together, that's the sensor, checking the state of things. Making the ritual sacred, well, that's a brilliant way to protect the program from being changed. And the constant repetition, year in, year out, that ensures the signal doesn't get lost in the noise. Now, this isn't just some neat idea. We can actually see this model in action in the real world, with solid evidence from both anthropology and archaeology. Let's take a classic example, the Tisimbaga people of New Guinea, studied by anthropologist Roy Rappaport. They have this huge ritual cycle that ends with a festival called the Kaiko, basically a giant pig feast. But it turns out, this whole ritual cycle acts like an ecological thermostat. It regulates the pig population, it makes sure resources get shared, it even controls the cycles of war and peace. Here's the key takeaway. The ritual isn't about their environment, it is the mechanism that manages their environment. And you can find this same logic literally carved into stone. Over at Chaco Canyon, they had this amazing solar calendar called the Sun Dagger. It was incredibly accurate, but over hundreds of years, the rock shifted and it started to lose its precision. So what did they do? They didn't just give up on it. No, they doubled down. They started building these enormous roads, all aligned to the cosmos. These roads were pretty useless for actual travel, but they were perfect for massive ritual pilgrimages. They were preserving the structure of the system even when the original tool was failing.
All of this points to a really fascinating strategy that seems to emerge when a system is under stress.
It brings us back to that central question. When time drifts, do you try to fix the sky, or do you fix yourself? When trying to recalibrate directly becomes too hard, maybe the original astronomical knowledge gets fuzzy, or the stars are just too far out of alignment, the strategy shifts. You stop trying to perfect the measurement, and instead you lock down the procedure.
And this is the absolute core of it. A rigid, sacred procedure that you just repeat, no questions asked, is actually way more robust than relying on some complicated calculation that one person could get wrong or forget. Repetition becomes safer than recalculation. The system basically says, this worked before, so we're just going to keep doing exactly this.
You can think of it like an error-correcting code in a computer program. The essential information isn't stored in just one place. It's encoded in the songs, and in the dance steps, and in the layout of the ritual space. It's redundant on purpose. That way, if someone forgets a line of the song, the dance still holds the pattern. It's a brilliant way to make sure the important cultural signal makes it through the noise of time. So a single ritual can be working on all these different levels at once. It's social, it's symbolic, it's spiritual, but it can also be performing this incredibly deep structural job. It's a mechanism for maintaining order when the world itself is unstable. We're going to keep digging into how ancient cultures built this kind of awareness right into their systems, because it leaves you with a powerful thought. What we might see as purely spiritual could also be a civilization, quietly, methodically, just adjusting its clock against the sky.